Not bad. Try this.
Cartoon Network has blessed us with some of the most memorable animated television series of all time and has played quite a huge role in shaping our childhoods. Among other cartoons, Edd, Edd N Eddy tops the list for many of us, and the misadventures of these young kids have been a huge source of entertainment all the way from the late 90s to most of the 2000s. Created by Danny Antonucci for Cartoon Network, this show followed the trio as they often ended up in trouble due to ambitious money-making schemes and pranks, but some elements did not make a lot of sense at first. We will be exploring some of the top insane things that you'd be surprised to learn about Edd, Edd N Eddy and tell you all about the behind-the-scenes stories that made this show such a hit.
Time to quench thirst for cash.
1. The mystery of the missing parents. To kick off the list, many fans have pointed out that the parents never really made a full appearance in the show, even when the main characters were running around with DIY death traps and wacky gadgets. The lack of adult supervision almost seems concerning, but again, Cartoon Network shows are famously known for being centered around childish whimsy. Of course, there were instances where a side profile or a mere body part of an adult peeked through, but they never had a full feature or a speaking role. This excludes Plank's parents, but again, they were created by Johnny and were not truly authority figures in the traditional sense. Fans often wondered how the children in the show did not have any parents around, but their crazy antics and chaos might have driven the parents to keep their noses out of their business. However, characters such as Jimmy could have certainly benefited from having a parent around to take him to the hospital on a weekly basis, if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, we dorks are gonna solve this mystery.
2. Edd, Edd N Eddy's Canadian origins. Even though Edd, Edd N Eddy was largely catered to an American audience, the show was actually created and produced by a Vancouver-based animation company, aka Cartoon. The show also ran for so long that it was considered to be the longest-running animated series produced in Canada. But again, it was also an original Cartoon Network show, which led to the series being referred to as an American-Canadian joint production. Unfortunately, the creators struggled to break through the Canadian market, especially since the show started with characters referring to Canada as a foreign place. Moreover, Edd also passed remarks about Canadians being weird, while later episodes incorporated Canadian flag stickers or paper Christmas crowns. At the end of the day, the show did have difficulty airing in Canada and was even pulled off the air after Teletoon aired the first season in 2002 for a few weeks. The show remained off air for at least a decade until Cartoon Network launched a network in the region and relaunched it in the Canadian market.
Hey, quick, pass it. Come on, Rolf, pass it.
You are too little, Eddie.
3. Rolf's Old Country. Where did Rolf come from? Did he ever get his own spin-off show? While Edd, Edd N Eddy is filled with peculiar characters, Rolf stands out as one of the show's most mysterious and fun personalities. He was introduced as an immigrant preteen who often shared shocking tidbits about the traditions or past lore from his hometown, the Old Country. The entire concept of this place was quite confusing to fans, and we've never been able to figure out where he actually came from. Moreover, Rolf often repeated strange beliefs from the Old Country, such as quiches being cursed, or that an idiot falling into a hole hinted at a celebration. The show's creator, Danny Antonucci, once discussed Rolf's origin in an interview and revealed that his exact origins were deliberately left as a mystery. However, a small hint gives us some idea of his past, as he states that he knows Gerda, a Norwegian woman who's in correspondence with Edd. While this could simply mean that Rolf might just be well-traveled, or this would be a coincidence, this is the only hint that suggests something about his past and possibly links him to Norway. Rolf's popularity also gave way to discussions about a spin-off show centered around his life experiences, especially when the creators picked up on how often they see him pop up in viral videos and memes. Danny Antonucci was also partial to this character, as it was based on his experience as a second-generation European immigrant. But we just don't know how much they developed this spin-off before discarding the idea.
I'm fine, Eddie. Really, I like my new clothes.
4. The deal with the weird tongue colors. Another peculiar feature that defines the characters was their unusual tongue colors, and sometimes the same character had different tongue colors, even between episodes. Antonucci explained that this detail was inspired by his son's friend group, so he often saw them with weird tongue colors after eating candy. While it might be the same case with the Edds, it raises questions about how they had enough money to buy candy when they never had enough to buy jawbreakers.
Olay!
5. the craze surrounding the jawbreakers. While we're on the same note, pretty much every single episode of the show revolved around their attempts to gather quarters from the neighboring kids so that they could buy jawbreakers. They were specifically obsessed with jawbreakers that could dislodge one's jaw due to their gigantic size, and almost every single child in the cul-de-sac craved it, to the extent that they popularized Kevin just because his father worked there. The show popularized these candies to such an extent that even audience members were curious about the jawbreakers' obsession and jumped on the trend to buy them. 6. All about the voice actors behind Kevin and Jimmy. Edd N Eddy also stood out among other animated series at the time, due to the creators' decisions to hire male voice actors to voice the male characters. At the time, adult women were typically looped in to voice young children, and some foreign dubs of the show have stuck to this formula and hired female voice actors to dub Jimmy and Johnny's characters. The creators actually made many such decisions to hire unexpected voice actors, such as the time they hired actress Kathleen Barr to voice Kevin, while all other male characters were voiced by male voice actors. Another such decision involved hiring a young Keenan Christensen to voice Jimmy, which made Christensen one of the youngest voice actors at the time.
Holding out Plank. Plank! I told you bunnies would take over.
7. Was Plank even real? While Plank has been a topic of discussion in the Edd N Eddy franchise, no list about the show would be complete without mentioning the weirdness behind this character. While Johnny often wholeheartedly believes that he's real, other children are convinced that he's not real and that he was just a piece of wood that Johnny had carved a face on. However, there is evidence, such as his enrollment in the local school, or actively considered to be a part of the football team, even though many kids refer to him as a lifeless wooden creation. Plank did seem to move across the chairs to make his way to Johnny after the two of them had a fight, in addition to many other instances when Plank would tell Johnny all about the things that had been going on around them. Of course, these details make sense for a cartoon, as pretty much any piece of imagination can come to life. But it's a little strange that the other characters on the show don't believe that he is sentient.
What the? Uh-oh.
Hiya, boys!
8. What role did the Cankers sisters play? The Cankers sisters were introduced as some of the meanest antagonists on the show, and they shared quite a complicated relationship with the Edds, even though the sisters, including Lee, Marie, and May Canker, claimed to be in love with Eddie, Edd, and Edd, respectively. They often went out of their way to wreck their schemes or stir up trouble for them. In numerous instances, they have ruined their pranks for no reason except for their own entertainment, and fans have been confused about how they could make life so difficult for them while claiming to love them.
We were just going to get our harmonicas, right, fella?
9. Some episodes were inspired by fans. Interestingly, one of the show's episodes was actually inspired by a piece of fan fiction written by Kit Top, who is responsible for the Edtropolis fan site. This was quite an insane development by the creators, as they quite literally incorporated fan ideas and brought them to life in an episode titled, "Here's Mud in Your Edd." This particular idea followed Rolf and Jimmy's attempt to exact revenge on Eddie by trading all of his money for a fake magic money tree seed in the aftermath of Ed's prank to take Jimmy's money under the promise of a fake amusement park.
Finders keepers! Go, Ed, go!
10. The show was quite controversial in Japan. When Edd N Eddy first released, it was quite controversial in Japan due to the lack of parents or positive authority figures. This stirred up such a controversy that the show was not even dubbed in Japanese after the second season, as the creators accepted that it would never fare well in such a market.
15 minutes for the
15 minutes? It's supposed to be instant gelatin.
11. Everything about the purgatory fan rumor. Given the fact that Edd N Eddy has garnered quite a fan following, fans have come up with all kinds of theories. One such theory suggests that the children on the show are the spirits of children who had passed away at different points in time before ending up in purgatory. With no means to escape, they end up together. And some of these theories suggest that the Cankers sisters might have been demons, while Eddie was a child during the Great Depression, which is why he developed such an obsession with money. However, Antonucci debunked this rumor long ago. He even stated that these characters were based on his life experiences and the people he knew growing up.
Only 5 cents. Dad's canoe, 20 cents. Mom's dryer, 15 cents.
12. Why did the Edds destroy Johnny's house? While the Edds are often known for taking things too far, fans once wondered why they destroyed Johnny's house in an episode titled Rent a Edd. As it turns out, they had set up a repair service, even though their skills lied in breaking or destroying things as opposed to fixing them. Edd was largely responsible for these goof-ups, and he often ended up making things worse when he attempted to repair items. In one such instance, Edd and the others accidentally broke Jimmy's toy oven and ripped out his sink and radiator when Edd made things significantly worse by breaking the support beam that held the house in its place. He soon ended up destroying the whole place and even got away with it without facing any consequences, while Johnny and Plank were homeless. Thankfully, this was just a cartoon, and their house was restored by the start of the next episode.
He's still breathing. Too bad. Let's make some 3-berry slushies, Sarah.
13. All about the time Edd scammed Jimmy. In another episode, the Edds managed to stir up so much trouble for Jimmy by pranking him when he was already feeling down. In an episode titled, Here's Mud in Your Edd, they convinced him to pay for an amusement park and promised to build him a makeshift park called Smileyville. However, they had no intentions of following up on this, and Edd even tricked Jimmy into walking through an entrance gate before disappearing while Jimmy was left in tears. While Jimmy managed to get his lick back by teaming up with Rolf to scam Edd. This was considered one of the most insane scams that the Edds had managed to pull.
Confused.
Jim said sit! Get it?
14. The intense rivalry between Eddie and Kevin. Another characteristic feature of the show revolved around Eddie and Kevin's rivalry, as they were often at odds with one another over jawbreakers. Things got even worse when Kevin got his hands on an abundance of them through his father, who worked at the factory and then refused to share it with the Edds. Moreover, Kevin distributed the jawbreakers with all the other children and Eddie, then decided to get revenge by exposing Kevin to his worst fears. He even read through his student file and learned that he was irrationally scared of needles before declaring that it was booster shot day. While Kevin's phobia set in, Eddie even scared him with a giant fake syringe in quite a petty display of his jealousy.
As well be talking to a piece of wood. Plank! Plank! Not you!
15. Why did Jimmy get a retainer? Finally, one interesting piece of lore was focused on Jimmy's trademark retainer, as fans often wondered how he got it when he had perfectly healthy teeth in one of the flashbacks. Soon enough, it's revealed that Eddie had once pranked Jimmy by convincing him to bite into a bowling pin after disguising it as a cream horn. When the young kid bit into it, his teeth were permanently injured, and he had to get a retainer to fix them. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we've explored the top 15 insane things that went on in Edd N Eddy, ranging from the choice of voice actors and character backgrounds to some of the pranks that define the show's tone. We hope you enjoyed exploring these bits of trivia with us, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on them in the comments below.